Hi, everybody. I'm back to share with you some more movie suggestions for you. I like suggesting movies to you. Strange movies, because that's all I watch are strange movies. And I wish someone would watch some of these videos and comment on them. I think everyone who has described it so far, people are watching. But I want to have a conversation with you. So if you've seen one of the movies that I'm about to suggest to you, or you have a question about them that you'd like to have me answer, just please do a little comment, okay? So here we go. The weekend is coming, so you need these suggestions. I wish that video store still existed. So that you could just rush on over to Blockbuster and get these movies. But you know, Amazon's got 2-day delivery, 1-day delivery. Most of these movies you can have for $1. So think about it. Just, you know, these are only suggestions. For example, my first movie that I'm suggesting to you, if you've already seen Guardians of the Galaxy and you've seen Alien Covenant and you're depressed because they're crap, but you want a space fun, sci-fi, thrilling adventure. Battle Beyond the Stars. This movie is everything. It's life. It's a Roger Corman classic. It says it right there. And it really is. First of all, it stars everyone. It has John Boy from the Waltons. It has Robert Vaughn. It has John Saxon as the villain, Sexy John Saxon as the villain. It has George Papard before his A-Team days. It has Sybil Danning as the TNA, which is, for a movie, what is this movie, from 71, I think it is? 70s and 80s, if you wanted your TNA, you went to Sybil Danning, okay? And I will not brook anyone to say different. It's kind of a Star Wars ripoff, but it's also like, Seven Samurai ripoff. But it does it in such a good way that it becomes its own thing. The movie, I could really see this movie being a miniseries or a TV series. Production value-wise, it is like a TV series. It's very like Deep Space Nine or a Farscape or something like that. The art direction is actually by James Cameron, before he was James Cameron, Terminator or Titanic fame. So you get to see the beginnings of inklings of ideas of things that he might have used later on in the designs of the ships, which they claim this ship was supposed to look like breastises, but if you watch the movie, it looks like testicles. So I don't know if that's an inside joke or just a poor choice, but you just see the sack of balls going through space, and well, that's worth the price of admission right there. The basic story is that John Boy is from a planet that's about to be destroyed by John Saxon, and he goes traveling through space to try to find other people to rally with him to destroy John Saxon. The thing about this movie is that everybody he runs into is really interesting. And because the movie's only so long, you only get an inkling of each person. And I swear, you want to know more. Each one of these characters that he finds to join his little, gang to beat the big bad, you just want to know more about them. George Papard plays a character called Cowboy, who wears a cowboy hat. And he's kind of a pacifist, though. So instead of having, like, in his holster, a gun belt, instead of having bullets, he dispenses liquor. So he's always drinking from his little belt. Sybil Danning is sort of like this warrior woman. She's like Thor, female Thor or something like that. She's like she's called like Valkyria or something like that, or Valkyrie. I have no doubt she just wore clothes from home, because it's all like steel bras and headdresses, crazy headdresses and everything like that. She has to lay in her ship like this so that I believe her boobs will guide the ship, and she gets all the best lines. Of course, all the lines are just tongue-in-cheek, things about her going down and all this. So it's funny, and of course, there's creatures in it as well. There's a lot of world building that goes in this, but because it's just a movie and not a TV show, it leaves you wanting more. But this is a good start. It's always fun to watch a Roger Corman movie that's so packed with stuff, as far as who worked on it, who's in it. Story and design, because you really the best thing about a Roger Corman film as a viewer is that you really get to see these people's first break into film and first attempt at doing something. He gives them that opportunity, and it's invaluable to see. You could definitely see the wheels turning of where people are going to go with their creativity and their talents and everything. Not everything's a hit, but there's very few misses in this, and that'll be on the stars. Get into it. It's that good. So now I know we watch a lot of Something Weird videos here. Because they are the best when it comes to getting exploitation films and strange good films on DVD and other formats for us to view so that they're not lost into antiquity. So I thought it was about time that we actually watched the movie Something Weird. I don't know if Something Weird Video is named after the movie Something Weird. I don't know what it was about this movie that would have drawn them, as opposed to all the other wonderful Something Weird movies that I've seen. But Something Weird truly is something weird. Productions, there's very cheap production, very cheap acting. But the story is everything in this movie. It's so convoluted. But you don't ever get lost, really. The basic story is this young man is working and gets disfigured in an electrical accident. His face gets disfigured. And in the process of that, he gets ESP. Well, it turns out that he's a bit of a jerk anyways in real life. So the only thing he can do with his disfigured face is to open up a storefront and start telling people their futures or things that he's learned from the ESP. And one day, a witch visits him. Yes, I said a witch. And she says, I will fix your face if you will be my lover. So how many times have we tried this trick without a drink? It's always worked for me, but, I don't know about for this witch. So, of course, he goes along with it. The funny thing about it is that he sees this beautiful girl for the witch. We see the witch. He sees this beautiful girl. So she fixes his face, and as I said, he's very arrogant. He's like the Tony Stark of ESP. Like he thinks he's everything. So while that's going on, he gets invited by the police force of Jefferson, Wisconsin, which they make a big point of mentioning this. Jefferson, Wisconsin. I don't know if it was shot in Jefferson, Wisconsin. It should have been with all the talk about it. Sorry, a little hair on there. To come in and figure out a serial killer that they have in the area. So they want him to use his ESP. Well, at the same time, the FBI have found out about this guy. And apparently there's some secret government experiments going on looking for people with ESP. So they send an agent down to Jefferson, Wisconsin to see whether this guy's legit or not. And so what the FBI agent does is say, well, there's really only one way to find out whether or not your ESP is real, and I have to give you LSD. So he gives the guy the LSD and says, take this and let me know what you feel after this, and then we'll know whether or not your ESP is real. I don't know what the connection is. There's different scenes of him in the movie using his ESP, and it seems to work, but this FBI agent is not convinced, okay? You need to take this LSD. So there's that. So the best thing about this movie is that convoluted story, and that's not all of it, that's just part of it. I don't want to give everything away. And some of the acting in it. The young lady who plays the witch and the pretty girl, Ellen, does such a great job, in my opinion, of this real great duality. When she's Ellen, the pretty girl, she's very light and demure, and she seems happy. Like, because, well, the only thing you really need is a man. So she's got one, even though he's an arrogant prick. But whatever, I still got me a man. Hello. But when she's a witch, she's just laughing the entire time. And I took that to mean just the absurdity of people and of men in general. How easy they are to manipulate, and how tiny our needs are sometimes. Like if we fix one thing for you, you'll just bend over backwards for us. So she's laughing the entire time because it's just too easy to manipulate people. That's how I interpreted it anyway. So I really enjoyed watching her in the different scenes that she had. Sometimes we'd see her through his eyes, and sometimes we'd see her through, regular people's eyes. So it was fun to see that played with too in the movie. The guy who plays the lead is named Cronin Mitchell, but they call him Mitch because, well, who would be named Cronin? Hume Cronin? I don't know. As a first name, I was a big fan, so we named our kid Cronin. So. And the actor does such a good job of playing just this really arrogant guy. Even when he first got disfigured, it wasn't like, you never got this. And there's a scene where he attacks a nurse to try to make out with her, like, if I'm so scary, I'm gonna make you kiss me. And of course she's like, you're disgusting, get away. He never doesn't think that he's the shit. So the actor does a great job of getting that across, which I think, again, is interesting because it kind of plays with this idea of perception. And ESP is perception, right? How we see ourselves, what we look like to ourselves, and what we look like to other people. It's said it's two different things. When I look in the mirror, or you look in the mirror, who you see, is that good enough? Or what do other people see? You might look at yourself and say, I see the flaws, I see all the, where's it at? Someone else might look at you and be like, the beauty is here. So, that's probably about 99.957% of the people who see me say that. So, or they better. So I liked that idea. That was an interesting part of the movie, the perception, how we perceive each other, how we perceive what is really going on. And the ending of the movie, of course there has to be a trick ending to it, right? Really lets you go, oh, wait a minute, this whole time I thought this, but now there's something else going on. And that is based around the FBI agent. He comes to town and he has a grand idea, like I said, of, he doesn't seem like he's fazed by anything. Even his suggestion that the ESP guy use LSD, he doesn't say it like, well, I'm at my last, this is the last thing I could possibly think of. He's like, no, this is the first thing, actually. You're a fraud unless you take LSD right now. But what happens to him in the movie that is so interesting is for the actor as well and for the viewer. This is, again, worth the price of admission. That's what this video that I'm making is going to be called, worth the price of admission. Because each one of these movies, there's at least one scene where you're like, this is the scene. And for something weird, it's the scene in which the young man, the FBI agent, is attacked by his own blanket. It happens. I think we've all been there. We've all had that moment where we're in bed and the blanket is like, and you're kicking at it and you're like, what is going on here? And then you're like, oh, it's just the blanket. Well, this is actually choking him and about to kill him. But it's one of those acting things where it's like, well, budget says all we got is a blanket. So from off screen, I'm going to throw a blanket on top of you and you fight it. So it's from the Edward School of, action. Fight a blanket. And this actor goes for it. And dare I say, he makes it seem believable that if your blanket was going to attack you, this is kind of what it would be like. What I like about it is that it goes and he fights and then he stops. And then he fights some more and then he stops. It's sort of like you're getting tired, but you're also tired because is this a dream? Is this really happening? Should I just go back to sleep? Or is my blanket going to kill me? So that's, again, how I interpreted it. There's that quality to it, and the actor does a great job of making that happen. Another one of my favorite scenes from this, it's a small thing that I noticed that I thought was funny, is in the first scene when the young man, Mitch, gets disfigured. Of course, the acting's not great on that, but he gets, electrical wire touches him, he falls to it hits somebody else first, and then he runs in to try to save that guy, but then he gets electrocuted too. So there's two people there now, and then finally other workers join in to be like, oh, well, let's all remember our training and not touch that electrical line. But they call the ambulance, and it's one of those Herschel Gordon Lewis things to like the ambulance is just a wood paneled station wagon, which I don't know if any kids nowadays would even know what a station wagon is. But it has you just got the red lights on the top of it. It's a station wagon. It's got the wood paneling on the side. There's no markings on it whatsoever to let you think that this is an ambulance. But that's what rolls in. And they put him on basically a stretcher type of thing, but not anything that would be official type of stretcher that anybody from ambulance or paramedic or anything like that would ever use. But what I love about it is that the actors playing the paramedics run into the scene, and they run to the first guy first, not the main actor, the first guy who got electrocuted. And I'm not sure if they did that because they didn't know which actor they were supposed to run up on. But quick thinking other actors say, oh no, that guy's dead. We called a coroner for him. Oh, this is the guy over here we want you to look at, which I just thought was so funny. Like, I hope, if you're ever in an accident that, the people who come to take care of you and to rescue you, give attention to everybody there who is in need. I hope that no one ever says to you, no, that person's already gone. Forget them. This guy over here is the one we want you to work on. So I thought that was kind of weird. And again, I wasn't sure if it was like, okay, did the people not know which guy to run up on or what? But so nice save there by that actor. But something weird is something weird, and it's definitely worth watching. If you like movies about ESP and LSD and witches, this is the movie for you. Because it really has more to do with witches than, I would say it's 50% witch, 30% ESP, 10% getting attacked by your blanket, and then 5% LSD, because the guy does take the LSD and goes on a trip. So there's that. Alrighty. The next movie that we have is A Smell of Honey, A Swallow of Brine. Smell of Honey, Swallow of Brine. This is one of those movies, like from Something Weird video, that I'm always hearing about. People are always saying how attractive they think the girl in this video is. And it's one of the first roughies for movies. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a movie with an adult bent. Girls are usually taking off their clothes, and they get roughed up. So mock rapes and stuff like that. Mock attacks. And that's the backbone of this movie. Because the character in the movie, the young lady in the movie, gets her kicks by seducing people, men, getting them to that point of, oh, we're going all the way, I guess, and then fighting them off and saying, you just tried to rape me, until they freak out and leave, right? So that's how she gets her kicks. That's what she does. It's interesting to think about the differences. It's almost like an audience member going to see this movie is wanting to see adult situations. And we think, anyways, that any person going to see this doesn't mind seeing a woman get roughed up. That might even be a fantasy of theirs, right? But to have the main character in this be somebody who's actually like, no, I'm not going to get roughed up. I'm going to actually get you thrown in jail because you just tried to rape me. So how you feel about the main character is what is part of this movie that makes it so interesting. When you finish the end of the movie, you see whether or not you think it's justified what goes on with her, or if you think she's a psycho. Because they do kind of play it a little bit like, here it says, a story of a female every man has known. Like, we've all known girls who, were cock teases. Not me, but I suppose there are ladies out there like that. I don't know. But the actress is nice. What I liked about it is that most of the boyfriends that she gets are really hot too. A lot of times in these exploitation films, they're not that hot. But this one, she gets some good guys. So I would have been like, why are we teasing? This one's got dinner and drinks also as part of the deal. This is called Friday night. But, that's what the part of how they play it was, where she seems like she's a psycho. Two of the scenes that I want to mention specifically that stood out for me is one time she has a guy come over from the office that she was working at, who's basically an innocent. He seems like he still lives with mom. He's nervous to be around her, but he's a cute guy, and she's a cute girl, and he thinks, I'm meeting a cute girl from the office, right? And we're going to go have dinner. So she tells him to pick her up at home, but she's not ready yet. She still has to take her bath. So she invites him into the bathroom to watch her bathe. And while she's bathing, of course he's nervous, and he's kind of glancing and kind of not glancing and looking at reflections through the mirror and stuff like that. So there's some actual, camera work happening in this scene. And she's basically grilling him, trying to find stuff out about him so that when she does eventually say, to him, oh, you just tried to rape me, he freaks out and runs out. Which he does. He leaves town. Like, he just leaves everybody. And everybody, of course, at work and his mother and everybody are like, that just seems very odd. Why would he ever do that? And she's just like, hee. I get it. She also does that to her roommate, which is the other scene I thought was so interesting. If you're a fan of Something Weird videos and you've ever seen like their intro video, which is like a collection of clips from different movies, this is one of the movies. This is the movie in which the young lady is in bed saying, I may be a bitch, but I'll never be a butch. Her roommate is a lesbian without them saying she's a lesbian. And the actress who plays her does a really good job, I think, of playing a character who is in love with the main character and cares about her and is concerned about her because she sees her going out on these dates and she just can't compute why do you keep going out with men if they treat you this way? You should try women, right? So that's what she's thinking. She doesn't know yet that her friend is actually, gets off on this. That's her form of fun. So there's a scene where she comes back from one of her dates and she's all tired and she's just like, I can't believe it. And the roommate says, well, I'll give you a massage. So, because, as a massage therapist, that scene appeals to me and I believe I could give her some pointers on her technique. But so there's some good camera work panning up and down the body as she's getting the massage, and then the girl basically gets her all riled up to a point at which she can say, no, I'm not a lesbian like you, get up out. And so the roommate leaves. So I thought what was interesting about that is that she had been playing on men so many times that this was almost her like, I wonder if I could do this to a woman. So she does it to her roommate, perfect opportunity to also, claim that this person doesn't get it, I won't ruin the ending for you, but it will be up to you to decide at the end, I think, whether or not she gets her just desserts. Or if things just, or if this is just how it's going to be from now on until forever. There's also some really good camera work in the scene where she goes to see a band play, and the lead singer is singing this really silly song. I wish I could remember it now, but I can't. But the camera is just watching his junk grind up towards almost like my hand's doing it to you right now. And then boop, boop. And it's like, I guess we're supposed to think that's her, totally watching his crotch. Which, if you've ever ridden a train with me, I've probably watched her crotch. So, the last video here is probably the lightest of the ones that I've seen lately. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because it's so different than as advertised, if you want to put it that way. Sometimes with an exploitation film, what will draw you in is the title. A movie will be called something crazy, and you're just like, I need to know what that's all about. Or you'll read a synopsis of it, and you'll be like, which lady who does LSD and ESP? I need to see that movie. Well, this one is, my baby is black. My baby is black. This movie is from 1961, which I guess it was very controversial back then for interracial couples to conceive, I guess, and that's what this movie tries to play on, at least as far as the title and how it probably was sold in the U.S. On the exploitation market. You're going to see something crazy, but in reality, this movie is just a very light, romantic French film. It was made in France. And the characters are just a black gentleman and a white woman who are friends in college. They fall in love. They have a baby. And for a brief moment, they're concerned that other people won't agree with that. But because they live with a bunch of beatniks in Paris or whatever, everyone's cool with it. So there's no racial tension or drama or anything like that. They talk about that concept in the movie lightly, but not in reference to the couple. Just that it exists in the world and how terrible is that. And some other things happen too. So this movie definitely was not originally called My Baby is Black. And it's not going to give you that sort of like, what would it be like to be an interracial couple kind of exploitation drama, if that's what you're looking for. But if you want to watch just a light French romantic film, it's like Romeo and Juliet or something. I think if this movie was remade, like the soundtrack should just be like Cocteau Twins and stuff like that. It should just be like trilly stuff and everything like that in the background. And they just say lovey-dovey stuff to each other the whole movie about, love and us and can we make it and, what is love and what does life mean and do I even exist if I don't exist with you and all this kind of stuff, even before the baby's born. So a lot of that stuff. So if that's your kind of movie, which, for an afternoon it could be, there's production to this. There's the cinematography to this. It's not a cheapie in any way. I guess it's just someone bought it and decided I will rebrand this. My baby is black. The only exploitation type of scene in this movie is the very first scene, which probably could have even been tacked on. Now that I think about it, because what happens is this girl is gonna have the baby. This is the first scene, so most of the movie is told in flashback, right? She's gonna have the baby, and they have all these close-ups of things, as you do a lot in exploitation films to cut down on budget, because it's like, this isn't really a hospital, but if I put on rubber gloves, you'll think I'm a doctor washing up or something. So it's really close-ups over it. And what I loved about it is that the doctor is smoking the entire time that he's getting ready to deliver the baby. So I was just like, well, it happens in France, I guess, when you're getting your baby. They cannot not be smoking, which is a double negative. That means they're smoking all the time, right? So even when they're delivering babies, and then they hold the baby up all Lion King style, and it's like, June, 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 my baby is black. So that first scene draws you in, and you're like, oh my God. And then the rest of the movie is just sort of like this couple, reasonably attractive couple, traipsing around Paris, declaring their love for each other. So I could see, for folks who are interested in that, that this would be a really good movie for them to check out. It's interesting when you think about diversity in film and the type of films that people from of other races have gotten to see representation of. This is something that perhaps people from African descent have not gotten to see representation of. Just a very light romantic movie. Everything doesn't have to be racially charged all the time. And I'm sure there are people who would enjoy the idea of such a movie where, it's not about him being black and her being white. That's like one of the sub subjects of the movie. It's actually just these two people getting together and being romantic together. So if that's your kind of thing and you want to see that, this is the movie for you. If you want to talk about, rape culture and and who doesn't want to talk about rape culture? Smell of Honey is the movie for you. It's very psychological and to the extent of trying to figure out that main character and why she does what she does and whether or not she's aware of the effect she has on other people. If you are a witch, which I know many of you are, you have to see something weird. It's very pro-witch. It's very pro-witch. And you don't see a lot of movies, that are pro-witch. And what I mean by that is where the witch is the one controlling everything. She's not just doing things, she's doing things to gain things, which a lot of witches do in movies. But she doesn't do it necessarily maliciously, I don't think. If you've seen this movie, let's talk about it, because that's something I would like to discuss. As far as the witch character goes, like I said, she's laughing the entire time. So it makes me wonder, is it just the absurdity of the situation that's why she laughs all the time? Or, why is this happening? She never seems at any point like she's not going to be fine, no matter what happens. Even if somebody was to say to her, I won't be your lover, which I have never heard that phrase either. But for this witch, she just seems like she would be fine if someone said that to her. And then lastly, if you have not seen this, it's not something weird, but it's definitely weird. Battle Beyond the Stars. This is better than Guardians of the Galaxy. This is better than Alien Covenant. This might even be better than Star Wars. It's got just as many interesting characters, just as great art direction as the original Star Wars. We'll say that even better than the next couple of films, anyways, because everything's CGI in those movies. This is actual. I'm old, so I'd love to see characters that are aliens and latex and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's more dimensional. It's not just a flat CGI. Here's an alien trying to run up the side of a helicopter or something like that. And I truly believe that this would have made such a great miniseries because each of the characters that he runs into, you want to know more about them. They're all fun and they're all interesting. You just don't get it. It just doesn't give you everything. It really left me wanting more. So, Battle Beyond the Stars 2. Somebody get Sybil Danning on the hopper, on the blower. I need to borrow a metal bikini top. Somebody needs to find out if John Boy is still alive. What is the current equivalent of John Saxon? I don't know. I don't think there is one.